Yeah, everyone, Nanami here. In 2022, I was asked to travel across Lutruwita and record our community's stories of quitting smoking. I heard so many great success stories of our people who managed to quit and got a good picture of why our people chose to quit, how they did it, and what supports they were able to access along the way. This is the Makara Patapa podcast.
Hi, yes, I'm Brendan Murray. So currently I'm the Aboriginal Community Engagement Officer with the Riawana Centre up there in Burnie. I'm from originally Cape Barren Islander. I'm from the Mansells and the Thomases on Cape Barren Island. A mutton birder from way back on Treefall, done about 17, 18 seasons on good old Treefall Island. And a bit of a mature person now within the Aboriginal community on the northwest coast, seen as a bit of a figurehead and stuff like that. So, and currently the Pataway branch president. So I'm really relishing. I'm relishing getting into that role. So that's what I'm up to at the moment. I've probably quit about 2 times in my life. I didn't start really smoking until I was in my sort of early 20s, because I was pretty staunch as a young person. I wanted to play sport and get to the top, and I found out that I wasn't really going to get to the top. So I was just playing normal sport and in the country and stuff like that. So I started smoking and in my early 20s, playing sport and everything like that. But that's when I sort of got close to 20 and I thought it's time to give up, because I started having children. So I could see value in sticking around for a few years. So I give up for a little while. And that was for about 9 years I gave up smoking. But then I sort of went through a process called abuse in care. And I felt that, I wanted to find out my story and what happened to me as a kid, because I have limited memory. So I started smoking again because things were heavy that I was reading. I was reading government documents and hearing stories about my childhood and stuff, and so it was a bit heavy. So I started smoking again, because smoking was like that little mate that I could go outside with and have a little puff, and he understood me, that smoke, and he looked after me, he stuck around for another 10 years, I suppose. But then I got into my early 40s, and that's when I felt it's time. I didn't want to be a mature age smoker, and there's 2 beautiful old elders that aren't with us at the moment, and I remember seeing them. Uncle Athel Burgess and Auntie Laura Maluga. They were sitting in Burnie town, and there's 2 old cows that were about 60 odd years old. And there I'm walking through Burnie and contemplating giving up smoking. And then I saw them 2 old cows sitting at the bus stop, smoke just billowing out. And let me tell you, it looked very odd to me to see 2 old, mature age people smoking. I thought, it doesn't look right. So after that, smoking just didn't feel right for me. It didn't feel like it was a part of my life anymore. So I just, one day there, I just did the old trick of screwing up the smokes and never smoked again.
So you went straight cold turkey?
Cold turkey.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I wasn't a huge smoker anyway. I wouldn't have a smoke before lunch. That was always a given for me. I wanted to try and give my system enough time to wake up and start the day. But after I have a bit of lunch, I used to have 1 smoke. I probably have 2 for the afternoon. But between tea and going to bed, it's probably about 7 smokes. And that's too much. That was too much. Waking up with a little bit of a sore throat or croakiness. And that's one thing that I do remember now. I don't croak when I'm sleeping now. My wife doesn't complain that I'm snoring or I'm croaking. It's because I don't have any throat problems anymore, because I'm not smoking.
So how long has it been since you quit for the last time?
Oh, geez. Well, I reckon it's coming up to near on 10 years.
Wow.
It's coming up near on 10 years. Loving it. Yeah, loving it. Loving being a non-smoker. And I don't like the smell. And I'm already advising my sons, because I know they've got my DNA in them, and they've got the old Cape Barren Island DNA, which, isn't conducive to smoking cigarettes. Our systems aren't accepting to tobacco and all those 4,000 chemicals that they have in them. And I'm trying to say that to my sons now. Be careful of what you're doing, because our blood tends to get a bit thicker if you're a Cape Barren Islander. So I'm trying on my 3 sons, who are 2 are just starting in their 30s now, and I've got 1 in their mid-20s. And I'm already saying to them, start thinking about quitting. Yeah.
Is that one of the main reasons you wanted to quit as well? 'Cause the
Yes.
kids, yeah.
Yes, and it was ironically, it was one of my son's 21st birthday. Yeah, it was his 21st birthday. I remember being out the shed with him and everything like that. I had a couple of smokes that night, and then the very next morning I woke up and I went, that's it. Yeah, just screwed up the whatever I had left there. And I didn't tell my wife that I wasted that money. But it wasn't about wasting money, it was about saving money, saving life, my own. That's how I was thinking. Plus, those ads on TV were very powerful.
Which ads? I'm just curious.
Oh, those quit ads, where people were sitting outside. Those shame ads, I call them shame ads that quit TAS use, and I think they're really good because those back in the days they were really explicit. Yeah, these days I think they're a little bit glossy, but back in the day when I was seeing these smoke ads, they were really. They got you thinking. Planting seeds. And another few nights there, I said the same ad again and start thinking about it a bit more. Yeah. So there was multiple ways that I had influence in giving up. I reckon, every day. Every day I wanted to give up, but every day I had an excuse to smoke. Yeah, it's like I've had a big day. Easy to say that to yourself, I've had a big day, I need to smoke.
What did you use once you stopped? Like, how did you stop yourself from having a cigarette after you threw it out?
Water. Yeah, water. But, I took up a like of lollies. Yeah, that's my little thing of the night time. I had my little packet of lollies and stuff like that, and hence probably that's why I've got dental issues at the moment, because I've been eating a lot of lollies in the last 10 years. But, yeah, I'm not smoking. Yeah, and that feels good. It really feels good. And, still see people go out to the Crater Coast campus or even here, a couple of staff members and go, just nick it outside. There's shame in that because they're whispering, they're looking around, it's like, well, if you have to do that, if there's shame in that, why are you doing it? It's habitual. It's habitual. It's like my old cousin, Dean Yule, that lives down in Devon, lives in Wynyard. And like he said to me, his wife, he reckons she'll never be able to give up smoking because she gets up, she'll have a cigarette. She'll do the washing up, she'll have a cigarette. She'll do the washing, have a cigarette. That's her day. And apparently she did try to give up once, but she couldn't because she just couldn't break those habits that had been there for 30 years. Yeah, very habitual. I didn't build up habits. Just didn't build up habits. It was mainly overnight time.
They say that's why cigarette smoking is so, really gets its claws into you, because you've got the physical addiction, you've got the social elements doing it with your friends, and the habits and the emotional, like you were saying, there's all those ways it gets into your brain.
That's right. And that's when it turns into, I don't want a cigarette, I need one. And I always like to use those words, want and need. It's like, I want my children to come to me. I don't want my children to feel that they need to come to me. So again, smokes is like that. I think people, finding more excuses why they need a cigarette. Yeah, but do they really want one? No. I don't think anyone wants a cigarette. They'd love to quit. Yeah.
Are there any other benefits that you've noticed since you quit?
Financial. Yeah. Because I know my wife, she's complaining, and she'll smoke. She's about a 10 a day lady, so a packet of 20s will last her a couple of days. But that's an expense. But then my young bloke, he smokes at home as well, so and he'll smoke about the same. So more or less, they'll smoke a packet of cigarettes a day between the two of them, and that's $30 a day times 365. That's a lot of money. And when I say that to them, they go, "Oh yeah." I said, "Yeah. Couldn't you do with that $3,000 or whatever money, how much money that is? Can't you do with that in your bank account?" Yeah. And that's why I can save now. That's why I can continually save now. I can get to the end of pay week and there's another $200 in there, but that would have been cigarettes for over that 14-day period. I would have spent $200 on cigarettes, so that $200 is better off in my pocket. That's an incentive. Yeah. Plus, my grandchildren list is really getting long, and I want to be around. And it's like, and I hate saying these things about colour, but 5 of my grandchildren are blonde-haired and blue-eyed. I know when they stand up for the first time and say, "I'm an Aborigine," someone in that room's going to say, "But you don't look it." I want to be around to empower them. I want to be around them and give them their tools, give them that ability to protect themselves, to protect their culture. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I know,
So
and that's what I want to be around. I want to be around for my little grandkids. I've got 4 older ones now, and I'm Chocky Pop, and they run to me, and like my wife says to me, I don't know why, Brendo, and I think because they can feel my genuineness, that they're my mini-me's. Yeah. So I want to be around to be a pop, because I saw a sad story not long ago, like old Erica Maynard's ex-partner. He loved his grandson Malin. Candy Bartlett's little man Malin. Well, he's going in senior primary school so a little bit now. But when he was a little fella, he loved his pop. They went everywhere. Pop used to take him on the golf course with him. But Pop passed away when he was about 2 years old, and it was a shame how that old boy isn't in Malin's life anymore, and Malin's always going to have those feelings that there was a guy that was around in my life one time, but where is he? And I reckon that old he tried to quit smoke, but that's what got him in the end. It was smoking-related cancer that got him. I know. So little Malin's not going to have grandpop, and I don't want that story to happen to my grandkids. So that's a bit of an incentive when losing community members with smoking-related diseases. Plus, my beautiful old stepdad never had a smoke in his life, but he died of smoker-related cancers because he was sitting around people that was smoking. Mum was a packet a day lady, and they were nippers. So I said to Dad, if you're not sitting in that mushroom, you wasn't sitting within that mushroom, you was walking around the house. And I said, Dad, your height. I said, it was sitting right at your height. And I said, you lived in that. Because Dad really struggled in his early 80s of dying of smoking-related cancers. It ate him. Yeah, because he said, but I never had a smoke. It's like Dad, I remember Dad was an ex-boxer, and his left elbow went. And took him to the hospital, and the doctor said, Laurie, you got tennis elbow. And he looks at me and he goes, never played a game of tennis in my life. Because Dad was doing a boxer, and he was doing that all the time. So, so he had tennis elbow. And that's what I was trying to explain to Dad. Sometimes you can get, they name these inflictions, like you got tennis elbow. I said, but yours is boxing, because he was doing that all the time. But Dad, he struggled with, passing away with, cancer-related. Yeah.
Sucks.
It did, and just watch a man go from 90 kilos down to 30. It was just seeing my old boy. Old Laurie Larry. God, your mum loved him. She loved my old dad. And vice versa.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
It's sad.
Old Laurie Larry. Yes.
Like the Generation Cup.
Yep, it's named after my dad. Oh, he's my stepdad, but when I was about 5 years old. And I'm second generation, stolen generation. So I was given back to my mum when I was a bit over 5. And within a few months, Mum started a relationship up with this little fella called Laurie. And my biological father wasn't around. I remember meeting my biological father for the first time when I was about 7 at Christmas time once. I opened up their front door on Christmas Day once, and there's this fella standing there, reckons he was my dad. And I just said, no, he's in here. No, so I went and got my dad and brought him out to meet this fella who reckons he was my dad. And it was a very confusing day. But long story short, but little Laurie, he was my stepdad, but he was my real dad. Yes, he was a ledge. And that's why they named the Generation Cup after him, because he represented. He was the 4th best bantamweight boxer in the world.
Wow.
In his stage.
Wow.
He was above Lionel Rose. Because he was number 4. Lionel Rose was number 3 at that stage, I think. But Dad tried to get a fight with the champion, but the champion wouldn't give Dad a fight, but he gave Lionel Rose a fight, and Lionel Rose went and beat him and won the world championship. That's why Lionel became all famous. And I used to say that to Dad when he got older. It's like, you could have been famous, Dad. You could have been famous. He just went, nah. I don't think he wanted it. Because he was just an old guy. He was born on Green Island, just out from Lady Barron.
Oh.
When you stand on the Lady Barron Wharf and you see that little island out there, that bald island, that's Green Island. Well, that was wooded, and that's where Dad was born, in a tent on there.
Wow.
Yeah. So he had a few yarns. He used to tell us when he used to live on Cape Barron. His dad was a non-Aborigine man, but it's called Tom Lowry's Beach. And that's where Dad and them used to live, at Tom Lowry's Beach, Dad and Uncle Dougie and them. But Dad said that they used to do the salt drop. It was on the other end of the island. It's where the plane used to fly over Cape Barren once a month or something. They used to call it the salt plane, and the plane to get low wouldn't land, but just drop all the salt off for the Aborigines.
Salt.
Big bags of salt. Because back then, if you go and kill a sheep, and you'd salt the sheep down, and it's called mutton.
Oh.
Hence, that's where they get the word mutton bird from.
Because they're so salty.
So salty. Plus, once a mutton bird is broke down, it's that really browny red meat, exactly the same as lamb when it turns down to mutton. So then, and hence, that's why they call them mutton birds, because the meat looked very same. Yeah, and tastes very salty.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
so they used to do the salt drops, and Dad used to tell me when he was a kid it was his job to walk from one end of Cape Barren to the other and grab a 20-kilo bag of salt and carry that back all the way to the other end of Cape Barren. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So he was an original old boy, old Dad. Yeah, yes. But having him in my life and not smoking, it probably was a little bit of an influence as well. That's probably why I didn't smoke when I was early. I wanted to follow his path into sport. I was no good at boxing. I wasn't aggressive enough for a fighter. I think I was more of a lover than a fighter. You know, I'd rather be nice to someone than punch him in the face. And I'm still like that as an adult. You know, as soon as someone starts fighting, you'll see me go the other way because I hate aggression. You know, yeah, I was around that too much when I was a young fella. Saw too much violence. So yeah, yes. So quit smoking wasn't very hard, and nowadays I know I'll never smoke again. Never, ever, ever.
What's one bit of advice you'd give to young people who think, oh, I'll never quit,
I'd say there's that financial one. And I think most people do know there is a financial burden when it comes to smoking. But yeah, just health, life longevity. That's what I like to use now. Wouldn't you like to live to be 90 years old instead of 70? Because every smoke you have is lessening your life expectancy. Yeah, like to go down the health road. Yeah, if I'm trying to advise anybody. Or if anybody wants to ask me for advice, it's like, oh, you don't smoke, how did you do it? Then I share that story with them. Yeah, but we're all unique, we all have our own story.
Because it'll be good for people to hear how you did it.
Yeah, I enjoy being a non-smoker. Yeah, and I wear that badge with honour. Yeah, being a non-smoker. And if I can help anybody quit, yeah.
Yeah, everyone, Nanami again. Thanks for listening to the Makara Patapa podcast, a podcast series by the Tasmanian Aboriginal Centre with support from Public Health Services Tasmania.